Okay, students, this is ECON 2301. We are talking about foreign currency exchange and its impact on the macroeconomy through net export spending, total spending, and a new concept called aggregate demand. So we're going to go ahead and share that screen again. And we're going to be going to a PowerPoint slideshow. Couple of things to be aware of. Anytime trade takes place between businesses and consumers that are located in different countries that use different currencies, whomever is buying the goods or resources is effectively first buying the currency of the nation where the goods or resources are located, and then using the foreign currency to buy the goods or services. All that the foreign currency exchange rate is the price of one nation's currency expressed in terms of the other. These values are determined by foreign currency markets. There are traders and banks around the world who are buying and selling large amounts of US dollars in terms of other currencies. They're buying and selling large amounts of euros, Canadian dollars, Mexican pesos, Chinese yuan, renminbi, and so forth in terms of all the other major world currencies. And it's this interaction of supply and demand that determines an exchange rate. As supply or demand of one currency increases or reduces, meaning shifts left or right in terms of the other, the exchange rates will fluctuate as well. This will ultimately impact the final price of goods, services, and resources that are exported as well as imported. Quick note, we're not dealing with one of those rip-off foreign exchange kiosks in the airport or at the mall. We are dealing with banks. There's a special rate called the interbank rate that is used for wire transfers of under $25 million, which is a weighted average of some futures and forward currency exchange markets where people are buying contracts to buy a certain amount of foreign currency in the future, like 3 months to a year from now at a guaranteed exchange rate to offset exchange rate loss. Averaged with the spot rates, which are the large on-the-spot negotiated rates for big wire transfers over $25 million. They take the weighted average of yesterday's spot rates and the current forward exchange rate markets to get today's interbank rate, which is used for big credit card transactions or batches of them, as well as wire transfers. And that rate is good for one business day only. If you do a wire transfer on today's business date, which is before 4 p.m. local time in the United States, that rate is guaranteed. If you wait till after that, they have to wait till the next day because the interbank rate will change. And so we're going to be using single products, like single products made in one country that are exported to another as a representative agent of any product exported from that country. So here's a math formula you got to know. How to convert from one currency to another is using what's called a factor label box. And if you've had chemistry or physics, you've used this before. You have this box where the top two rows are multiplied and the row that's on the bottom is divided, but there's an empty box where there'd be an invisible number 1, okay, because what we're using is essentially a ratio and proportion. So what it is you start with the price in what we call the home currency. That's the nation where the product or the service or the resource is manufactured. And then you make a ratio. You multiply the home currency price by the exchange rate information about the export currency. The export currency is the currency of the country where the product is being shipped to. And you divide by what the exchange rate says about the home currency. Be very careful here. Different currencies use different short symbols. Some currencies, in fact, the majority of them use 2 decimal places. They have a major and a minor unit, like dollars and cents, pounds and pence, euros and euro cents, pesos and centavos, yuan, renminbi, and fun are just some examples of the many world currencies that have a major and a minor unit. One minor unit is 1/100th of a major unit, or 100 minor units equals 1 major unit. There are 2 notable exceptions to this, and those are Japan and South Korea. The yen in Japan has no minor unit. All prices are in single yen. It feels like things are priced in pennies, but that's the way they do it. In South Korea, the won, spelled W-O-N, also does not have a minor unit. But when you see the prices in South Korean currency, it feels like they're scaled in hundreds of pennies. It's kind of a little bit odd, but again, when in Rome, as the saying goes, right? Just pay attention to how information is given about foreign currency. Make sure when you do the calculations, you format them as the information is provided, and that way you won't make a mistake for a format error. So here's a simple example we're going to look at. We are using a desk made in the United States to represent any product that is exported to Japan. We're going to be using a cell phone made in Japan to represent any product made in Japan that is exported to the United States. And we're going to start with an initial conversion. Initially, 1 US dollar is worth 125 Japanese yen. Notice 2 decimals for dollars, none for the yen. The price of the desk made in the United States, and that's the base price. It doesn't include shipping and handling. It doesn't include import-export taxes, and that's called duties or customs. It's 500 US dollars and 0 cents. The yen made in Japan, base price from that factory, 22,500 yen. Again, this does not include shipping and handling. It does not include any import-export taxes. Now, what we want to do is take this desk and find out how much it would cost, say, a Japanese businessman to buy it in his currency using the yen. And so using the formula we just used, $500 and 0 cents is the home currency. The exchange rate for the home currency said $1 and 0 cent, and the exchange rate for the export currency is 125 yen. The dollars will effectively cancel out by factor label rule, and the answer will be in yen. 500 times 125 divided by 1 will equal to 62,500 yen. And remember, no decimals. The yen does not have a minor unit. Now, that would be what, say, I'll call him Harada-san, a Japanese businessman would pay for the desk, not counting shipping and handling. Now, for the cell phone, let's suppose there's some kid in Pittsburgh, we'll call him Peter. Peter wants to be the first kid in his block with this whacked out funky cell phone that you can't get in the United States. And so he places an order to buy one. 22,500 yen is the price, but Peter's in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's in the US and we use dollars here. To find out how many dollars this is, you start with the price in the home currency, and for Japan, that's the yen, 22,500 yen. We divide by the exchange information for the home currency, which is 125 yen. And for that phone, the dollar is the export currency because it's being sent to the US. Multiply by $1. Now, the yen is going to factor out, pardon me on that, it's going to factor out, and our answer will be in dollars, and this one comes out nice and even, $180 and 0 cents. Now, a couple of things to mention. These prices that we see here based upon currency conversion are valid for 1 day only, 1 business day. There's going to be something interesting that could happen. Suppose Harada-san got distracted because one of his factories in some other country caught on fire. He ended up on a conference call and didn't initiate a wire transfer. And in Japan, because of the way it does business with the rest of the world, 10 p.m. local time is the end of the business day. But he fails to get the wire transfer sent by 10 p.m. And suppose Pete starts playing Destiny 2 and he gets so busy playing with the Xbox and getting into Flame Wars, he forgets to go to Wells Fargo to send his wire transfer by 4 p.m. These rates will now no longer be valid. We're going to have to figure them out tomorrow with the new exchange rates. Something to mention, that desk will not be cheaper or more expensive in the US. Tomorrow its price will still be $500, and the same holds true for that cell phone. In Japan, the price will still be 22,500 yen. But the export prices, when we change currencies, will be noticeably different. So let's suppose that after 24 hours has passed, 1 US dollar is now worth 105 yen. That's a period for the end of a sentence. There's no decimals for the yen, remember. So we have to now recalculate those prices. 500 US dollars divided by a dollar and times 105 yen yields 52,500 yen. Amazing. Harada-san experienced what the Buddhists call a happy accident. He was perfectly happy to pay $62,500 yesterday, but because he got hung up and couldn't do the wire transfer, he ended up delayed, and that delay saved him 10,000 yen. The furniture manufacturer doesn't care one way or another. They were going to get $500 yesterday, they're going to get $500 today. But I want you to understand that this has a deeper implication. Any American product exported to Japan is now cheaper in terms of Japanese currency. I repeat, any American product now being sent to Japan is now cheaper in Japanese currency. That will affect American exports to Japan. Now, Peter Stanchek had the exact opposite experience. He's pissed off now because he didn't do the wire transfer in a timely fashion. 22,500 yen divided by 105 yen times a dollar leads to a string of decimals, but we round to the nearest penny, and that's $214.29. Because he got busy flaming people and playing Destiny 2, what would have cost him $180 yesterday will cost him $214.29 today. That's a $34.29 increase in the price. That's beer money he's lost there, or maybe like a night out to go eat and have some beer with that. He's not going to be happy about it, but the thing is his delay cost him something. But there's a bigger implication. I want you to notice yesterday versus today, Japanese products are now more expensive when valued in terms of American dollars. In other words, any product made in Japan is now more expensive when valued in terms of the dollar. That is going to affect the exports for Japan. Now, very simply stated, law of demand says if there's something you normally buy and the price drops, you buy more of it. Since Japanese products are now cheaper in terms of American currency, the Japanese could afford to buy more products, and the United States can export more goods to Japan. Law of demand also states if there's something you normally buy and the price becomes more expensive, you buy less of it. Based upon the change of these prices, since now Japanese products are more expensive in terms of US dollars, Americans will buy fewer Japanese products, which means Japan will export less product to the United States. Now, let's be realistic. This kind of a big exchange rate shift doesn't happen in a single business day. This happens steadily over the course of a few months. And so if over the course of several months, the US dollar going from previously to later on is now worth less in terms of the yen, this actually helps the United States export more product to Japan, but it hurts Japan because the yen is now gaining value yesterday versus today. It takes fewer yen to buy a dollar, so the yen is worth more in terms of the dollar. This is going to hurt Japan, and they're going to export less to the United States. Now, this is going to have an impact on both countries' net export spending, total spending, and gross domestic product. So let's talk about that next. For the United States, the dollar has lost value, depreciated in terms of the yen. Exports from the U.S. to Japan are cheaper, so exports increase. Imports from Japan are more expensive in the United States, so they import less from Japan. That means the net exports become less negative, more positive. That's an increase. It's part of the total. There's no change in domestic spending. Remember, consumer, gross private investment, and government spending are strictly domestic. But if the net exports are increasing, total for gross domestic product is increasing, and so is total spending. Now, for Japan, it's the exact opposite. Exports from Japan are more expensive in the United States, so they export less. Imports from the U.S. going into Japan are more expensive, so for Japan, their imports increasing, which means this difference is becoming more negative, less positive. There's no change in domestic spending in Japan. Consumer, gross private investment, and government spending are the same as they were. But since net export spending is decreasing, the total for gross domestic product for Japan is also decreasing. Japan's GDP is decreasing. Total spending is also decreasing as well. Folks, there's a lot of money going in both directions between the United States and other countries. And this last slide here is just showing you, based upon a couple of years ago, just how much is getting exported. People seem to believe the United States exports nothing, and that's false. Look at all these exports. Canada, Mexico, and China are our three largest partners that we export products to, but they're also the three largest partners we import products from. Okay? That's some pretty powerful amounts of money there going both directions either way. But the thing is, a shift in exchange rates that continues over time in one direction or another will definitely affect the net export spending. Now, there's one last concept I'm going to mention here, and that's called aggregate demand. It's an actual curve. Very easy to understand. If total spending is increasing, AD is shifting to the right. So what happened over here will make the United States aggregate demand curve shift right. On the other hand, if total spending decreases, aggregate demand shifts left. So for Japan, their AD curve, aggregate demand curve, will shift to the left because their total spending is decreasing. We're going to talk more about aggregate demand and aggregate supply in the next video. So we're going to stop sharing and wrap this up. Some folks get a little confused when they work with net export spending, and the easiest way to avoid confusion is just take a look at the price of the exported product. If the exported product for a country is becoming cheaper in the other nation's currency, net exports increases, total spending increases, GDP increases, aggregate demand will shift right. On the other hand, if the price of the exported product for a country becomes more expensive in the other currency, net export spending decreases, total spending decreases, GDP decreases, and aggregate demand shifts left. That's all there is to it, folks. Let's not overthink things, shall we? Hope this helps illuminate the subject somewhat, and have a good day.